All right. Good evening, everyone. It's Monday.
Good
Monday evening
evening.
after. Good evening. A little after 6, and we'll go ahead and get started. I know that we already. Someone texted me a question the other day, yesterday rather. So I do have another question, but let's start with Lamont. You say you had a question.
Yes, I do. This past month and a half, I've been noticing it seems like whenever I look at my clock or something else, I've been seeing the number 924. Now I know my birthday is 9/24, September 24th, but I've been I've been catching a clock either on my phone or the clock in my hotel room has been 9/24, and also on my we have a electronic logging system on the buses that we drive, and I've been catching it about 2 or 3 times. 9/24. What is symbolic? What is 9/24? What is it? I feel like I've been eating me out. I've been getting kind of paranoid. I said, why am I see this every now and then? I'm always seeing 9/24. What is it about it besides my birthday? I said, what's going on?
Well, let me say this. Let me say this, then I'll turn it over to the class, because I hope George's looks up the numbers and pretty good with the numbers. But you said you're getting paranoid about it, but you don't have to. It whatever it is you can interpret it to mean what you want it to mean or what you need it to mean. But there's never anything to fear. It's yours. The numbers appear to you. It's yours. And it only becomes something frightening if you make it frightening. The reason why I was just going to say the reason why I say you can interpret it. The sages say that a righteous man has a right to interpret his own dreams, and I look at this as something along those lines. Although you were awake when you see it. But you have every right to look at this and determine what you think it is. I don't know what the numbers are right offhand. Can anybody help me? Because I'm thinking when I at 9/24, I'm trying to reduce them down, and you reduce that down, it comes to 6, 15, and 5, and 1 is 6. But what do you guys see? Is anybody there that sees anything with these numbers, 9/24?
I get my number book and see what it says.
George, are you on? Thank you, Kathy. Okay. Come on, let's give her a minute to get her book. And I'll look. I can look at the.
Those numbers come to the number 6. They reduce down to 6.
Yes. It reduces down to 6. Yeah. What is 6?
Well, it says on the the wall where we have the numbers, it says weakness of man, evil of man, manifestation of sin. I'm not quite sure what that all turns into.
Okay. Hold on a minute, because it's a lot more than that.
All right.
I mean, I have some stuff too, but it's all on my phone and it takes me forever. I need to put this somewhere else so I can get to it quick. So y'all bear with me.
This is Angela. I just looked up, put in 9/24, and it says it's time to trust your intuition and listen to your inner voice.
Okay.
Okay. You say you just put it in. What did you put it in, Angela? What source are you looking at, if you don't mind me asking?
Google, I put in 9/24 spiritual numbers, and I put in 9/24 or spiritual meaning of what that number 9/24.
Okay.
Then in the number book, number 9 stands for fruit of the spirit,
divine completeness from the Lord, and then the 24 is the priesthood.
Priesthood.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm still looking. Lamont, there are books out there, and everybody has a source, and the thing that it seems sometimes like every source says something different. I'm gonna look at this. I have this thing I got that has the Hebrew letters and the numbers mixed in, and here's what I look at, what I have here. The number 6 is read sheesh, and it means connection, to make a connection. The image, it means it's the number of man, if somebody say it. It means to sacrifice, and it means intimacy. The one part about this that I like, it is the number for knowledge. It is diet or knowledge, or to experience something. So let me see what else. Above all, the Hebrew letter that associated with is Bob, and it means a connection or to have a relationship. Or it means to add something or to connect to something, like a conjunction or something that brings two things together. So I don't know if that helps you.
Yeah. Well, I'm just gonna keep an open mind about it. The only the only fear I get from 9/24. I like, wait a minute, what does it tell me? Something's gonna happen on September 24th. I know besides my birthday, but I mean that's nothing to remind myself about. But you know what I mean? It's the number comes up. Just happen to be looking at, or I'm looking at my clock, or the watch, or the time on my phone, or I'm looking at the clock in the hotel room, or my like I said, the amount of hours I have left to drive is 9/24. That's happened twice. So it's just.
Here's all I'm saying. Remember though, man. If we read the scriptures, and what we have found out, if nothing else, there's nothing in it to fear. Even the thing that taught us that this is scary, or this means this, or this means you're going to hell. There's none of that is actually in the scriptures. Mm-hmm. So when you look at these things, no matter if it's numbers or somebody saying words to you, nothing can hurt you. Look at who you are and what you believe in and what you study and who the person that you are. That's what you rely on. So,
okay.
Yeah, you don't bring fear about by creating fear that's not there.
Okay, appreciate it. Okay.
Yeah, because you're bigger than that. You're bigger than this number. What if it's a symbol or trying to tell you something? I don't know. I hope that the information we gave you is helpful, and I hope that you can pull something positive out of it.
Well, the main thing I got from what you told me is not to fear, because that's like that's the main thing I needed to hear, because it's like why am I always catching this number? Every 2 or 3 days, or maybe 3 or 4 days, I'm catching this number one way or the other. This number, I'm seeing it, and it comes up that that was something because the first 2-3 weeks I was like, it's just something. Maybe it's just a coincidence. And it's like I'm seeing this like then it got to the point where I was I was seeing these numbers every 2 or 3 days, either on the clock on my phone, or on the clock of the hotel room, or on the timing that my electronic log that I have left to drive when I'm driving. So it's like, why am I seeing this number all the time? So yeah, but I appreciate that about the fear, because that was like,
yeah. Remember who you are. You are enlightenment, and I know you're on the phone, on the line most of the time, when you can, when you're not on the road. But think about
most time I'm on the road. I'm on the phone. When I'm on the road, that's most time I get on the phone is when I'm on the road. Yes.
They're not just lessons to remember, though. They're lessons to become. These are changing who we are. So if anything, you are enlightenment to the people around you. You are enlightenment to the people that you interact with every day. You have nothing to fear. There's nothing that can happen to you. Remember that. Remember who you are. And walk in that. Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I remember one time I kept seeing the number 3. And I would see it in a dream. I would see it like Lamont. I could be looking at something and I'd see the 3 like on the clock also. And then when I asked Reverend Richards about it, he asked me what did I feel in my spirit. I said, well, I don't feel any fear. I said, but I feel like the Creator's trying to tell me something, but it ended up, he said, there's nothing to fear. So I stopped focusing on it. When I stopped focusing on it, then it finally just went away. As anything happened, no, nothing didn't happen that that I really be concerned about. I just kept seeing the number 3, and then I thought maybe I need to get up and meditate at 3, and then see it go away. So I fell off to sleep, but I set the clock and I woke up and I meditated, and then finally it just went away. I never did see it anymore.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that. Guys, we're on a journey, and I think, at least in my walk, some things are going to happen to show you who you are and where you are. They're sort of like measurements to show you how far you've come. But nothing is going to happen to harm you. You stand up to any and everything. Any and everything.
Okay.
Especially in the spirit world like this. Things that appear to you. Look at 924 and decide what you want that to mean. Maybe it means you're going to have the best birthday you've ever had.
Could mean that, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, this is Charles.
I want to be at ease about it. I want to be at ease. I want to accept whatever comes. That's what comes.
I want you to be at ease about it. Charles, are you going to say something?
Oh, yes. I found in Google, it was saying in the Bible, the angel's numbers mean 924, symbolic, rest after the completion of work. It is a message from God that it is time to rest and enjoy the fruit of your labor, but it's at hard work.
Okay. I can accept that. I can accept that.
There you go.
And as I was reading it, and as Lamont was talking, he's always working and always been dedicated in doing the things of God, listening to people and talking to people. So I'm thinking that's what that means for him.
Well, I like that, and I like the fact that Lamont said that I accept that. I see that, and I accept that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you
Appreciate
for the
it.
question. Yes, sir.
You're welcome.
Just a quick recap. On yesterday, we spoke on Genesis 19, and we were making a comparison to Abraham and Lot, and looking at the fact that both of them entertained angels and messengers, but the differences in their approach and how this was done. And what we were seeing is looking at ourselves. How locked in are you? How committed to these things are we? Not these things. How committed to your journey are you? And following this thing through, as we notice the different levels of awareness or places of awareness that we journey to. How much is that? Those experiences are moving you. They're moving us in a certain direction, in a certain place, and it's a lot of it is looking at what Lot did. I mean, we a lot of us still have a lot of religious things in our background. A lot of us are not sure. A lot of us, so it's just a time to kind of sit back and take a watch or take a look, an inventory of who you are. Okay, so that's what we were looking at yesterday, and out of that, yesterday's discussion, someone texted me a question. I hope Vamil doesn't mind me using her name, but Vamil asked me, what does it mean to wash someone's feet? Because in both chapters, as we looked at this, Abraham offered to wash their feet, the messenger of the angel's feet, and so does Lot offer to wash. So what does that mean? What does that mean, anybody? Does anybody notice that? I wanna tie it to something.
Ron, this is Vermel. I thought it meant or indicated some kind of humility to to what was happening. I just really don't understand. I know those words mean something, but I thought it meant something like humility or respect.
Yeah. Well, Pastor and I were talking about this because I searched my usual, little small little library I have, I guess, and I could not find anything about this. And as he mentioned, this was a ritual. This was something that was customary for them to do because they wore sandals, and it was a welcoming kind of thing to welcome someone into your home, to wash their feet, wash the dust off of their feet. But I think in this episode here, it means something different. I'm gonna read something here, and you guys don't have to turn there at all. But I'm gonna read John chapter 13, and I'm gonna read, let's see, about 6 or 7 verses here. I'm in John 13, and I'm gonna start at verse 5 and read through 11. Okay. This is Jesus about to wash the disciples' feet. He said, then he poured water into the basin and began to wash the disciples' feet. And he wiped them with the towel which he was girded. And so he came to Simon Peter, and he said to him, Lord, do you wash my feet? Jesus answered and said to him, what I do you do not realize now, but you shall understand hereafter. That's important. Peter said to him, never shall you wash my feet. Jesus answered said, if I do not wash your feet, you have no part with me. Simon Peter said to him, Lord, not only my feet, but also my hands and my head. Jesus said unto him, he who has bathed needs only to wash his feet, but is completely clean. And you are clean, but not all of you. For he knew the one who was betraying him. For this reason he said, not all of you are clean. Okay. Betrayal is a different type of dirt. So there's, as we've always talked about this, there is a practical reason when we look at Scripture. Most people see the practical. And the humbling part of it is not a practical. That's spiritual. And I agree with that. The other part, the normal part of this practice was to cleanse someone's feet who came to your house. It is a thing of appreciation. It is a welcoming kind of thing. But this is far more than that. And what I think, I see, and I'm getting ahead of myself, what I wanted to look at today, I see Abraham as a type of energy. Abraham is a path to righteousness. And how do you get there? It is everyone who turns inwardly to see who they are. And when you turn inwardly, when you look, take an account of yourself, this is the energy that you feel. You can get off of this train. You can be like Lot. When Lot, it says that Lot's caravan start fighting with Abraham's caravan, and they sever. Abraham said, "Hey, you choose which way you want to go." This is Lot. Lot is saying, "I've had enough. I want to stay on the journey, but I want to stay on the journey under my terms. I want God in my life, but I want God in my life under my terms." And that's, that sounds harsh for me to say it like that, but every one of my family members, and I'm pick on my family here, we sit down and we talk about Scripture. They'll ask me stuff about Scripture, and every one of them have this phone number, and every one of them have the times and dates that we do this. Nobody has called in except Kevin that one day. So they see God in their own way, and that's okay. That is okay. So when you look at a Lot, you see him doing some of the same things that Abraham did, but the washing of the feet that Abraham did is a little different. This is spiritual. And if you follow that and look at it, look at the things that preceded that, the journey that he takes. If Abraham does not wash those men's feet, does he get the opportunity to say, if you find righteous men in this city, will you spare the city? And they'll say it, yes. Does Abraham get to be a part of that? The washing of the feet is saying, I'm all in. The washing of the feet is what gives him the right to change from Abram to Abraham. I give up being Abram. I give up my father's house. I give up these concepts that I've come to know and love. I want to know the principles of Elohim. I'm all in. The washing of the feet is, and I'm coupling this with Jesus doing. This is, the contrast of Lot, but this is the Son of Man standing in the gap. The Son of Man standing in the gap between heaven and earth. The Son of Man standing in the gap between truth and religion. Someone has to do this. And it is Abraham that's saying, I'm all in, and I submit myself. I humble myself to be whatever I have to be. I will be whatever I need to be. This is a oneness. This is a coupling. This is an intercourse kind of thing, and it is spiritual. Couple of things that I thought about when I was a kid, and I watched my aunt do my grandmother's hair, and she'd sit there and they'd sit there and hum, or they'd sit there and talk, and everybody be laughing, and it would be just as calm and just as peaceful, and that little makeshift beauty parlor became the peace and the harmony in the room. Oneness. It brought everybody together. We are a spiritual people. And a lot of times we going through stuff, or we see stuff, and we don't recognize it is a spiritual thing that is happening to us. Jesus says, one is going to betray me. This had nothing to do with physically washing off the dust. This is a humbling to not say to the angels, not say to God, but to say to yourself, I'll do whatever it takes. I'm all in. That makes sense?
That does. Thank you.
Yes, it does.
Thank you for the question. Anyone else? Does anyone else see anything in that can help me explain that?
Ron, this is Evelyn.
Hey,
I see it as humility, and that you're recognizing the divine essence of that person. So that's what I see in it as well.
Okay.
Because
Yes, ma'am.
if you look at it, when you're washing somebody's feet, we think that's the most disgusting thing. But when you really look at it, the deeper meaning behind that is, I'm showing you humility, and I recognize the divine essence in you. We, like you said, we are one. I remember Vermel did that to me when I had first moved to the Faith House. She did that, and I felt so special that day. I felt that, for her to take her time out to do that, that meant a lot to me. So to me, that's humility. And a lot of times we take that for granted, even when we go like to the nail salon and you get a pedicure. These people they're doing it for the money, but to me, they're showing humility, and they recognize the divine essence in me and in us, whoever go there. That's all I want to say.
Yeah. It most certainly is recognizing divine. I was thinking about everyday things too, Evelyn. That's why I brought up the hair thing. That was special to me. I remember those days. I remember it used to be a time, and maybe it is still for a lot of us, that we didn't. We somebody stayed at home. That there was always somebody at home, and that somebody would take care of grandmother or aunt or whoever was bedridden or had gotten old, and it was not a burden. It was not a burden because you were attached. You were one, and you were giving back. You were giving of yourself. So washing of the feet is is giving of yourself. I'm giving you my love. I'm giving you all that I got. So we forget sometimes who we are and the journeys that we've already taken. All of them have meaning, and all of them, at least at one time, help establish our community. And I don't mean that literally community. I mean the bond that we had as a people. Regardless of your last name, those people that you knew, we knew everybody in the neighborhood struggle. We knew, this one needed this and that one didn't have that, and everybody was in the same boat, and it was love. It was love.
And Ron, did you say that it meant something pertaining to our journey as well?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, it is a part of our journey. Yes, ma'am. And that's why I brought up some of the stuff from our past, because not everybody on this phone is from my generation, of course, but a lot of us still remember a lot of those things that we went through or that we witnessed. The community thing, the oneness, the closeness of the family. So I think this is all in a part of the same line. And I think, until, I see it in the scripture, everybody went through Egypt. Everybody has to be Abraham. Everybody has to recognize that humbleness that is inside of you. Everybody has to appreciate the Sarah that is inside of you. That is the journey. And as we spoke about it yesterday, when you look at it from a nomadic perspective, you see the wilderness, you see your footsteps. If you're in the universe, you're one with the sand and the grass and the trees and the stars and the birds, and all of them are a part of you and you're a part of them. So you don't just kill to be killing. You don't destroy anything. You recognize that all of this takes care of me, and I have a responsibility to take care of it. You are the human that stands in the gap of all of creation. You are the one. You have purposed yourself for that. You have made that decision. So all of this is a part of that. Be ye humble. Be humble. It starts on the inside out, the nomad life. Okay? Any other questions or comments on anything we've talked about?
I have another question, Ron, what we had talked about during what we had talked about that Lot. The angel told Lot to leave, and Lot was telling him he wanted to go to that city, but he said yes. But when he left, he didn't go to the city. I'm trying to get it short as I can. And then when the girl said that, I guess everybody's dead, we don't have anybody that another man they can be with, to have children. So they took and had children by their father. Okay, when they did that, go ahead. Now, when he did that,
right.
they both birthed children. And I always heard that Jesus came from that lineage. You understand what I'm trying to say?
And I did not research that, because that wasn't where I was going with it. It's so much in there, Charles, I don't understand yet.
Okay.
He asked the angels to spare that city, and the angels did, but he still had a fear of going there.
Right.
I'll look at that again, and we get a chance, we'll talk about it again. Because I even looked up the name of that city, because again, this is not physical cities and towns that we're looking at here. Yeah, that city means a place of insignificance. A place of insignificance, something that is not important. It means to be brought down low, to be small. So it is not talking about a city. This is talking about his frame of mind, where he is at this time. But let me look at that again, because like that's what I was saying. Is so much in that I still don't quite get, not well enough to follow through on it. So let me look at it some more, okay?
No problem, man. And as you look at it, what I was trying to do is take you through that Jesus came out of the incest of that.
Yeah, he did, and I can't remember which daughter it came from, but I'll look at that again. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I'll look at it again. And that's all that is saying is if we look at Jesus like he's a trophy up on a shelf that nobody can reach, and all the scripture wants us to see, other than what religion has taught us, is this is talking about the word of God that came into the earth to show us the way, to show us who we are. So I don't even see him anymore as a man. I see this as an energy that points something to us. So, because when you look at this, every little bit of darkness or whatever that we came from, that we experienced, he experienced. His mother named Mary. Mary means bitterness. It means rebellion and bitterness. So he comes through the womb of bitterness. He comes through the womb of rebellion. So it goes to show you, you decide who you want to be. You decide. You decide whether or not you're going to turn to the right or to the left. You decide if you're going to follow that little voice inside of you. You decide if you're going to pursue the voice that tells you to leave your father's house. Leave all that you've come to appreciate. I want to show you who you really are. So that's more of what this is talking about, Charles, than these city names and the people that you see there. Okay?
I understand it now. I saw it more when you was talking a while ago. I appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate the question, although I don't know if I helped you a lot, but I appreciate the question. There was something I wanted to look at briefly, if you guys want to look at something here. Look at chapter 13 of Genesis. I want to back up a little bit and look at Abraham. Look at chapter 13 here. It says, and Abram went up from Egypt to Negev, he and his wife and all that belonged to him, and Lot with him. Now Abram was very rich in livestock and silver and gold, and he went on his journey from the Negev as far as Bethel, to the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Ai, to a place of the altar which he had made there formerly, and there Abram called on the name of the Lord. So what is that saying? It says he's been there before. Where has he been before? If you go back and look at chapter 12, and I'm going to read part of this, and let's talk about it for a minute. I'm going to start at verse 6. Now Abram passed through the land as far as the site of Shechem in the oak of Moreh. Now the Canaanites was then in the land, and the Lord appeared to Abram and said, to your descendants I will give this land. So he built an altar there to the Lord who had appeared to him. He built an altar there. Then it says, then he proceeded from there to the mountains on the east of Bethel, and he pitched his tent with Bethel on his west and Ai on his east. And there he built an altar to the Lord and called upon the name of the Lord. And Abram journeyed on, continuing toward the Negev. And now there was a famine in the land. So Abram went down to Egypt to sojourn there, and the famine was severe in the land. Now, I'm not necessarily wanting to talk about Sarah. I'm not looking at that part. I'm looking at the frame of mind here. And what I want us to see is this. Bethel means the house of the Lord, house of God, excuse me. Excuse me, can be pronounced A-Y or A-Y-Y-A, but it means a place of ruin, a heap, a place that has been made crooked, a place that is perverted, a place where you commit iniquity. So what does that mean? What is it trying to tell us? Abram has the same struggles that we have. Look at this journey. He leaves his father's house. He finds himself in somewhere different. And he recognizes that God is here. When it talks about him building an altar, this is inside of him. This is inside of him, showing my appreciation for who I am. It's a reminder to him of who he is, excuse me, and his relationship with the Creator. So when you look at this, he finds himself in the middle of version and the house of God. In other words, this is a mental thing. And here he is battling. He's battling because the world that he's left behind is still in him. And the world that he sees, although he's still in the midst of this journey, he sees and he appreciates it. I liken it to this. I was telling Pastor, you guys have heard me say this before. I left Aiken looking for something, searching for something, not knowing what. But I had visited every church that I could think of in Aiken, Augusta area. And some of them had beautiful choirs. Some of them ministers were better than others as far as delivering their message, but all of it was churchy. And I didn't know what I was looking for, but I knew what I wasn't looking for. And I met a man that lived in Spartanburg, and he convinced me to come up here. And I came up here, and I started doing the same thing, visiting churches, because I didn't know a soul when I moved here. But I started visiting churches. And it was probably a year and a half, 2 years after I was here, I ended up at Greater New Faith. And I sat there and I listened to the service. And something told me, you need to pay attention to this. But it did not look like I thought it was supposed to look. And I left. And it took me some time to come back. It took me a few weeks to come back. But when I left, I went to other churches, and that's when I was convinced you were in the right place. You were in the right place. You need to go back to where you were. Sometimes it takes that. Sometimes you journey and you don't exactly know where you are, what you're looking for, but you know it when you find it. At least you hope you do. or you know what you found is not it. So it took me a while. And if you look at what's going on with Abram here, I'm saying it's taking him a while. And I'm also saying Abram is the reason why there was a famine. If earth and land and is consciousness, what is he saying here? There was he ran out of awareness. There was nothing. He ran. He came to a place of confusion, and he did not know what to do with himself. In other words, the thing that I have valued in the past, I no longer value. But where am I? Now, this is my term, okay? Egypt is that place where you take a time out and just sit there and listen. You sit with it. Egypt is that time out place. When I left Greater New Faith, I had to sit with it. I went to some places that I recognized was not where I needed to be. But those places is what spoke to me and told me you're on the right path. You need to go back. What am I saying? I'm saying, Abraham, you are no different. This is talking about the journey that every man must take. Now, if you look at verse 5 in chapter 13, it says, now Lot went up with Abram and also had flocks and herds and tents, and the land could not sustain them while dwelling together, for their possessions were so great that they were not able to remain together. And there was a strife in the herdsmen of Abram's livestock and herdsmen of Lot's livestock. Now here's the thing. Look at the bottom of verse 7. Now the Canaanite and the Perizzites were dwelling then in the land. Why does it say that? Why does it say that? It's talking about other thoughts. It's talking about other things that grab your attention. It's talking about things that we look at on this journey that may take your focus away, that may seem important to you. So you look at these things because if you think about all these Perizzites and Hittites and all these other religions, where did they come from? All these other, they came from the encounter of what that boy name? Noah's sons and Noah's family. So all of the, in other words, all religion looks like it has some truth in it. All of it looks true. All of it is enough to grab your attention and hold your attention there. But are you willing to journey on? So what does Abram do? It says he went, verse 3 in chapter 13, he went on his journey from the Negev. Negev means he headed south. He headed south into a grassland. And Negev is talking about to be parched because there was a famine there. So here he is in his thinking, and he's contemplating who and where he is. But he went as far, now he's just come out of Egypt, so he went as far as Bethel, to the place where his tent had been at the beginning. He remembers his altar that he built to God. He came to that familiar place in his heart and said, you know what? I'm on the right track. I see where I am. I will continue this journey. And every one of us has made that statement in our own way. Abraham speaks of a journey. Abraham speaks of the journey of truth. And everybody gets on that caravan if you are searching for truth in one way or another. So I'm looking at this, in contrast to what we've looked at with Lot. Okay? Any questions about this so far? But every time he looks at this altar is inside of him. This is his altar. This is his altar. This is your personal relationship with the Creator. This is your personal relationship with yourself. This is you seeing you being truthful with you. Okay? Just makes sense, y'all?
Yes, Ron, I want to ask another question. This is talking about the concepts from religion that we wore within ourselves, right?
Yeah. Can I expand on that for just a minute?
Yes.
And again, this is my terminology. Maybe I think the way I see this is everything that is not truth is a religion. If you are so wrapped up in your job that defines who you are, that is a religion. If you are so wrapped up in your children that they define who you are, and I'm not saying don't love your kids. Please don't take me there. But if people keep you from seeing the Creator, that is your religion. If you have found a man that you are so wrapped up in, or a woman for that matter, if you are so caught up in your status, that is your religion. If you are a hateful person and you always are sarcastic and mean and bitter and got to get the last word in, that is your religion. So when we talk about religion, yes, we're talking about the church, we're talking about those things that are worshiped, but we worship more if we're honest with ourselves. So when I look at this, if you look at verse 12 again, look at those first few verses. It says, "Go forth from your country, from your relatives, from your father's house, from your culture, from those things that are important to you, those principles, everything that has built you up, those things that are made, that are valuable to you, your vision of God, your vision of how you worship, your vision of what your family is known for. All these things I want you to look at. I want you to come face to face. Come face to face with who you are. And then you put all this stuff in perspective. So this is not just talking about in between the walls of a church. This is far greater than that. But Mel, I don't know if I answered your question or not. Yes.
Yes, you did. Very well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ron,
Yes, ma'am.
can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. How we doing? It's Audrey. How you doing, Audrey?
Yeah, it's Audrey. I'm fine. How are you? Well, I'm glad I'm glad you're bringing this up about this is everyone's journey. And we can see that too, because when Abraham came back to where he had been between Bethel and Ai, he called on the name of the Lord, meaning he decided that that was what he was going to do.
Yes.
He made his choice right there. But then when Lot came along, he told Lot to make a choice. And Lot headed east, which was back toward that place of Ai. So, and in the next few chapters, we're going to see that Lot has to make a choice. So everybody has to follow a path, and everybody has to, at some point, make the choice of who they are and where they want to be in terms of their relationship with the Creator. So yeah, everybody has to make the choice at some point or another.
Great observation. Thank you. You're right. You are correct. Anyone else? I think kind of coincides with what we've talked about the last couple of days, because everything where we are now affords us the opportunity to look at ourselves and to be honest about who you are and what this journey means to you, and how much are you willing to sacrifice of self. And I use that word because to some of us, some of those things that we talked about, some of those things that are included in country and relatives and father's house, you may see as a sacrifice because you don't want to relinquish them. And that's where we are, as Audrey just said. At some point, we all make these choices. So. I hope that made sense. I hope that's something we can kind of ponder for a little while, and that's really all I had. I thought it would last longer, but that's and I don't think I'm forgetting anything. So, okay.
So Ron, it's about
Yes,
like
sir.
I had before. I don't care how you get there and which nationality you came from. When you get to the fork of the road, I mean, decision you have to make a decision which way you're going from there.
Yeah.
Because it ain't a two-way. You just have to make a decision which road that you want to follow. The easy way out or the
way. Yeah, you're right. Because all of this speaks to us. Speaks to the journey of truth that we are very much a part of. And in the midst of this journey, you are very much the Abraham and the Sarah, because in standing in that gap, in that humble place, there is no time. There is no such thing as time. You stand here for all of mankind. That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. So the change in the world by changing yourself is very real. Very real. Okay? I hope everybody got a thought today. That's really all I have. And if there are no more questions or comments, anyone?
Thank
Okay.
you, everyone. Really good.
Thank you. Yeah, and till Saturday, okay? You guys have a great week. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Everyone.